Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the metamorphosis of an absolute sporting genius. We're talking about Lionel Messi, and specifically, how he managed to stay at the very pinnacle of global football for so unbelievably long. And spoiler alert, it wasn't just because he had quick feet. As you'll see, his sustained dominance was all about pure tactical brilliance and this constant, calculated adaptability.
I mean, just listen to this quote from his former Barcelona teammate, Ludovic Gili, remembering what it was like facing Messi as a teenager. He said, "He destroyed us all. Even the team's starting center backs were nervous. He was an alien." Now, obviously, his raw talent was completely otherworldly right from the get-go. But the thing that truly made him a historic figure wasn't just that initial spark. The real genius was how he evolved that talent over the years.
So here's our tactical playbook for his career. We're going to track his journey through 5 distinct eras. Starting as the explosive right winger, moving into the false nine revolution, his return to the right, his shift into a deep-lying playmaker, and finally becoming master of the free role. Let's get right into it.
Chapter 1. The explosive right winger.
Way back under Barcelona manager Frank Rijkaard, Messi actually started out his career in Spain as a left-sided forward. And to really understand this early role, you gotta look at his physical profile. The Spanish media called him La Pulga Atómica, the atomic flea. Because of his short stature, he had this incredibly low center of gravity. And that naturally dictated his whole early style of play. He relied heavily on insane agility, perfect balance, and these lightning-fast short bursts of acceleration just to weave past defenders and survive tackles from guys who were way older and way bigger than him.
Seeing these unique traits, Frank Rijkaard did something brilliant. He made an absolute masterstroke of a decision and moved the teenager over to the right wing. This positional shift? Completely devastating. See, instead of being stuck on the left side where he'd basically just have to cross the ball into the box, putting him on the right meant Messi could effortlessly cut inside, right through the defense, directly into the middle of the pitch. And once he was there, he could use his dominant left foot as a literal weapon, just curling these unstoppable shots on goal.
Chapter 2. The false nine revolution.
Now, it was under the legendary management of Pep Guardiola that Messi transformed into the absolute tactical focal point of the entire team. We really need to talk about the false nine. Basically, it's a tactical role where a center forward doesn't just hang out near the opponent's goal like a traditional striker. Instead, they roam deep, dropping way back into the midfield. By doing this, Messi would drag the opposing central defenders totally out of position, which created these massive, gaping pockets of space. He'd then exploit that space by linking up with playmaking midfielders like Xavi and Iniesta, literally orchestrating the attack right from the middle of the park.
And man, was he lethal when he picked up the ball in those deep areas. Just listen to Guardiola himself, who pointed out, Messi is the only player that runs faster with the ball than he does without it. When Messi collected the ball deep in that false nine role, he'd turn and just explode toward the goal. You'd see these terrified backpedaling defensive lines trying to cope with this unmatched pace and close control. He left opponents completely stranded.
To put the sheer output of this era into perspective, you just need to look at one staggering number: 91. In the 2012 calendar year alone, while completely redefining and mastering this false nine role, Messi scored a record-breaking 91 goals across all competitions for Barcelona and Argentina. That's a milestone that just perfectly captures the absolute devastation of this tactical setup. It's almost unbelievable.
Which brings us to Chapter 3, Return to the Right. But as with all great systems, it eventually needed a software update. Fast forward to the 2014-2015 season under a new manager, Luis Enrique. The whole system had to adapt because Barcelona brought in some incredible new talent, specifically the phenomenal Uruguayan center forward Luis Suarez. Now, because Suarez was a traditional out-and-out striker, that false nine role just wasn't going to work anymore. So Luis Enrique shifted the team back to a classic 4-3-3 formation. And this is where Messi really showed his adaptability. He willingly shifted back out to his old right-sided position just to make room for Suarez in the center. Teaming up with Neymar on the left, they formed the legendary MSN trio, and they absolutely tore it up, breaking Spanish football records by scoring a combined 122 goals in all competitions that very season.
Chapter 4. The deep line playmaker.
Of course, father time comes for everyone eventually, right?
Starting under Ernesto Valverde, age naturally began to diminish his ability to just dribble constantly for 90 minutes. Back in his early career, he relied heavily on constant, explosive dribbling runs and pure speed, playing very high up the pitch. But as he got older, instead of trying to just outrun opponents like he used to, he completely and intelligently morphed his game. In his late career, he started dictating the play from much deeper areas of the pitch. He evolved into literally one of the most elite passers and playmakers in football history, all while noticeably dialing back his defensive work rate off the ball.
Now, here is a rather counterintuitive, almost mind-blowing revelation. People actually used to criticize him for walking during matches in his later years, but the source material points out something fascinating. By actually covering less ground and running less when he didn't have the ball, Messi drastically improved his overall efficiency. He was essentially conserving his energy for those explosive short bursts of speed right when it mattered most. This not only improved his positional play, but crucially, it helped him avoid the muscular injuries that used to pop up a lot early in his career. It was a totally calculated move.
Chapter 5, Master of the Free Roll. And so we finally reached the culmination of his tactical journey. This is an evolution that peaked not just at the club level, but most importantly with the Argentina national team. The key term you need to know here is the enganche. It's an Argentine football term for the classic number 10 playmaker, the guy who operates directly behind the two strikers. Interestingly enough, this was actually Messi's favorite position as a kid, and as his career fully matured, that childhood dream basically became his permanent reality. He started operating in a completely free, creative role. He was given the absolute license to drop deep, link up with his midfielders, and just orchestrate the entire team. And it was playing in this very role that he finally got Argentina to their long-awaited Copa America victory and, of course, ultimate glory at the 2022 World Cup.
So when we step back, you can trace this complete tactical evolution perfectly alongside his managers and his advancing age. We go from the explosive right wing under Rijkaard in 2004 to the absolute dominance of the false nine under Guardiola in 2008. Then we see his flexible return to the right wing to accommodate his teammates under Enrique in 2014, before finally settling into that deep playmaker and free role under Valverde and beyond, starting around 2017. It's like a masterclass in reinvention.
Which brings us to a pretty massive question. If Messi's greatest weapon wasn't actually his speed, but his tactical mind and his sheer adaptability, how will future generations rethink the way elite athletes age? What I really hope you take away from this explainer is that true greatness, whether it's in football or honestly any field, doesn't just come from raw talent. It comes from having the humility and the intelligence to adapt your role to suit your evolving strengths. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.